was actually making the decisions in the White House during the last 9 months of the Biden administration when he was clearly a Republican. And I want you to make, I work with him in terms of your investigation. Their senior staff, starting with Joe Biden, right, the first lady, you have the chief of staff, you have Neera Tanden, who have these dual responsibilities and perhaps was in control of the other plan. You have the cabinet, you have senior staff that are interacting with them, but they were routinely directed and told us that Joe Biden, who was clear cognitive capability, that he was sharp as a tack, and yet they
fuck all the bullshit, all the assholes.
Special counsel Hur for his questioning and coming up with a summary that says, yeah, this is an old man who really
fuck all the bullshit, all the assholes with badges and guns on the scene should be fucking fired. They costed us $40 fucking $1,000 for their fucking stupidity, and they still got a fucking job. This is bullshit. When are we gonna come to the common sense that makes fucking sense? Because this shit don't make no motherfucking sense. All these assholes should have been fired after this. We paid $40 fucking $1,000 for their stupidity.
They're trying to say, oh, there was a cover-up. Someone covered up. We know there was a cover-up. The media, as usual, the legacy media is late to the game. What we want to know is who was the ringleader of the cover-up, but who was making the decision? I mean, there were some major decisions made by Joe Biden, especially in the last 3 months of his administration. Who made those decisions? Somebody has to give the authority to use the auto pen. Obviously, Joe Biden wasn't the one that stuck the papers and the pardons in the auto pen. Some staffer did that. Who authorized the staffer to do that? There's no paper trail. There's no evidence that we found that that person was Joe Biden. So we're looking at the senior officials, and don't rule out Hunter Biden. He spent a lot of time in the Oval Office in the last 3 months. We know that from press accounts and from sources that were involved.
Until you realize whose lines are who, you'll never know the essence to the truth already ready within you, waiting on you to realize for yourself to tap back in. Wake the fuck up. You're not as stupid as you've been taught to be. Brown men and women, women and men. You're born a winner, 100%. You can never lose unless you're taught to be a fucking loser. A lying loser at that.
Answer that question, Jason. Everything that he was involved in, that I was involved in investigating, there were mistakes made, there were lies told, there was incompetence demonstrated at every step of the way. So my confidence level in James Comey is so low, I could see that he makes a mistake, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if that was intentional and they were trying
literally to make believe nonsense stop you from using common sense. The common sense that you're born with. The truth.
Over Trump's success securing the border.
How well so many could be
in the first 3 weeks of his term
taught
has made people like Comey
to be so fucking far-past stupid to the point where they don't know themselves.
All right, so a lot there, but anyway, you slice it. You got James Comey, who is obviously a corrupt person. He might be an incompetent person, depending on how much benefit of the doubt you want to give to him with his inappropriate post. But before that, of course, you've got questions about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's competency. And the fact that they're going to drag these people in and interview them, I think, will be instructive. We'll learn some things about what happened here, but it's going to be diffuse, right? The idea is you have security by obscurity. No one really is the main focal point. Everybody's operating independently like little terrorist cells taking advantage of you. You just have Hunter Biden here. And then they just sign it, and it gets done. The question is, how do you undo any of those things? Or could there be criminal liability in those things? Could there be other abuse, criminal charges brought by Pam Bondi, or whatever? So the point is, there was a cover-up that occurred, and we had our president being exploited by people in the administration, which is
one time
treason
every equal one.
President.
And when that man that won come together and ask
my question to the Democrats and the people on the left is, are they okay with that? When they listen to those tapes and Joe Biden, that's something they think that's who we want as the president. That was just a bad day. The debate was just a bad day. Everybody's just overreacting. Republicans were trying to take advantage of this for political gain, or maybe their side was taking advantage of their position in the media to cover up for somebody who's clearly not capable of being the president. And will there be any self-reflection or internal analysis or how they got to that spot and how they could allow that to happen to them and their party? No, but we'll see what James Comer is able to dig up. We're looking forward to reading this transcript when it drops.
Mathematical student or calculus student.
Thank you, Terrence. The truth is, they made the loop. They actually made the circle disappear. Because there's only one time that 1 times 1 could equal 1. It's when you put the 1 that created everything in the beginning
as a professional mechanic
into itself being the man and the woman and the man coming together as one to make another one of themselves. It is what it is when you look at it like that. But the truth is the truth. We've been lied to about a lot.
Everyone in that room agreed we will deliver this victory for the president and, more importantly, for the American people. The stakes are too high, and we will not miss our chance. Now, switching gears to news that broke over the weekend, the American people are smart, but we already knew that. When the Biden-Hur tapes were released on Friday, it proved that Democrats hid and lied about Biden's condition. The American people knew they were being lied to, and this week, I hope no one takes the Democrats' bait or the Democrats' word for anything, especially when they keep lying, fear-mongering about the one big, beautiful bill. We will not let them get away with their lives, and I hope you all ask them about the tapes this week, too. Really interesting. Contrast that with House Republicans who will remain on offense this week as we advance our one great big beautiful bill. We will pass this transformational legislation for the families who just lost loved ones to the border crisis. Families like Lincoln Riley and Rachel Morin, who were both killed by violent, illegal immigrants.
Is what it is.
Like Zach
all the part of it, all
lost his life to fentanyl. And Agent Raul Gonzalez, who lost his life pursuing an illegal immigrant near the border. This historic opportunity to secure our border and make our communities safer. This bill provides technology to improve border enforcement. This bill provides resources to support Border Patrol agents that they so desperately need. This bill provides funding to deport more violent illegal immigrants and materials to finish the wall.
Wake the fuck
We
up.
have an
You literally
opportunity
been
right
taught
now
to be
before us
stupid.
to make
You literally been taught to be
generational
willing
investments in the
participants in your own
safety of
slavery.
our
Because
communities.
the truth
Let's
is the
close
truth.
the
If you know
floodgates
who you
and
are,
remove
100%,
those that
somebody
never
made you
should have
fucking
been
lazy.
here
Because
in
you're
the
not
first
thinking for
place.
yourself.
But let's not forget some
You're
of
literally
what
just going
other
along and
wins
get
are
along
in
with the
our bill
bullshit.
and what's
program.
at stake. Like the
Literally.
people and the
The
mom
make-believe
and
nonsense,
the
stop you from
businesses
using common sense.
that are
Common sense
facing
that you're
historic
born with.
tax
The truth.
increase. If we
Once
don't
again,
get this bill
You don't have to
done,
be stupid.
they will not
was
survive
taught
if
to
we
be
don't
that way.
pass this bill.
All
And those on
believers are
Medicaid who
lying
need it
fucking
strengthened,
losers
sustained, and
who don't
secured.
know fucking
It's
better.
time we put them first,
I'm just saying.
not illegal immigrants. That's what we promised the people, and that's what we intend to
In
deliver.
order to
To
do
put
better,
the American
you need to know
people
better.
first.
Truthfully,
And the one
you
big
need to know
beautiful
better.
bill delivers on
Naturally,
those priorities.
we can
And I know
We all
every
out
single
of
House Republican will be proud of its
all the
passage.
customs bullshit
Because
that we
when
was
it's
taught
all said and done, history
to
will
lie as
remember
children.
that Republicans put Americans first, and the Democrats didn't. And now I would like to turn it over to our chairman, Mark Green.
Thank you, Speaker. And Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Alejandro Mayorkas's reckless disregard for the rule of law created an historic border crisis. Under the Biden and Harris administration, 13 million inadmissible aliens poured into our country, overwhelming Border Patrol and CBP officers, wasting billions of taxpayer dollars.
stuff
and of
created
course
within the
throwing many of our
creation.
communities into
You're
chaos.
never alone.
Illegal gang
It
activity,
is what it is.
influx of fentanyl.
All it is.
You've heard us
Raw
talk about it before.
creativity.
I saw an
It
article the
always
other day from
will
one of you
be and
guys,
always has been.
60% decrease in the
The
murder
truth is the
rate
truth.
in
You're
one
never
city
alone.
where ICE had removed the
Everything
gang members.
happening
And in
is
4
you
years, the American people
moving.
were sick of it, they're tired of it, and of course, they gave Republicans the
Love in a
trifecta
rental suit.
because we put them first. As of
Born the
April,
winner.
Southwest
Your first
border
breath,
encounters were
you
down
win.
over 90%.
Your
And
last
that's
breath,
down
you
from
still
the
win.
lowest
Because you go back to the
in the
win for what
previous
the deal on the
administration. And that lowest point happened not because of anything that the Biden administration had done. That lowest point happened because of what Texas did with
because
Operation
it's already
Lone Star.
within you.
But
waiting
even
on
from
you to
that
realize for
point, it's
yourself.
down
Because
90% in
truth is the
April.
truth. It
The
is what
best
it is.
numbers we've had ever in the
Self-explanatory.
history of this country, and that's because of the
100%.
actions of this president, who delivered on his promise to secure the border and enforce our laws. But if Congress fails to act, this success will be short-lived. I'm proud of the Committee on Homeland Security's work to include common sense border security legislation. That is a generational opportunity to actually secure our border. We've tried so many times in the past. Now we will codify these executive actions, and we will do our job in Congress and resource this effort. $7 billion to recruit and train new border agents, billions of dollars to fix, to build the wall, and it's a high-tech, lights, cameras, access to observe, $5 billion in technology enhancements, all the support that we can give to the border states. We're going to expand Operation Stone Garden, those grants for those states that actually work with the Department of Homeland Security to secure our border, all in this bill. All because
It is
the
what it
American
is.
people
All
said
it is
enough
until
enough,
you
and
realize
all
for
because they
yourself
elected Donald
the
Trump
truth
and a
is
Republican
you.
Congress.
It is
I now
in
be
you.
called
The
one
creator within the creation. You're
of my
never alone.
mentors and heroes
Everything
in this,
happening you
bill,
are a
Jim
part
Jordan.
of. Don't be stupid
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
because that's what we always
dislike
taught
this
to be.
bill so much because it's so darn
Stupid
Republican.
believers to never know.
Embraces three
Stupid
fundamental Republican
understanding
principles. Cut
bullshit
taxes,
that don't make no
secure the
sense
border,
to me or you.
requires work.
Stupid
We're the party
having
that believes
faith
just let
in
mom
the
and dad keep
assholes
more of their
that
money,
started this
chase down
bullshit.
their goals and dreams.
Stupid
We're the party that
having
believes you should
faith
actually
that
have a
these
secure
assholes.
border. This bill does it, as Chairman Green just pointed out, and we're the party that believes able-bodied adults, if they're going to get your money, should have to work. It's good for taxpayers, it's good
Stupid
for the economy, most
to
importantly,
hope
it's
that
good
these
for that individual.
assholes was going to tell
This
some
bill
type of
embraces
truth
three
when the truth
fundamental
is hope is
principles of our party.
bullshit just like the
That's
rest of the
why
word they made
it's
up.
really important that Republicans lead
Literally,
and go tell the
you
American
don't have to
people
be as
how
stupid
this
as these
legislation is, how
assholes
it's
taught
made.
you to
What
be
we told
with
the
these
voters we were
make-believe
going to
books
do
and TV
last November,
teaching
why
you
they
to not
elected
know
us,
the
and
truth
it's
that's already in
right
you
on.
already.
So
Literally, your
I'm confident we're
common
going to get there
sense
this week,
is the
get the
truth
votes that we
till
need
you
to
have
get
it
this thing
since.
passed,
You're born
because
with
it
common
does the things
sense
we said
until
we
it
were going to do.
changes.
With that, I
Literally,
yield to the
the
chairman of
make-believe
the Ways and Means
nonsense
Committee, Chairman.
stop you from using common sense. The common sense that you're born with.
Thank you, Jim.
The truth.
President Trump
That's the change.
promised and delivered, and now the House will too. The One Big Beautiful Bill stops the largest tax increase in history and focuses benefits on workers, families, farmers, and small businesses. It unleashes
The truth.
made in America manufacturing and delivers on President Trump's promise
You couldn't
to
have
all
sense
American
at all.
workers. This is an economic growth agenda combined with historic spending reform
Have a
that
life
protects
at all
those
without
in
common
need
sense
and puts
being the
America
life you
on a
live in
path
order for you
to a
to know
better
better.
future.
You live in the truth that's already in you.
$140 billion in your tax dollars
Naturally, you live in
shouldn't
your
go
heart.
to illegal immigrants who have broken the law. Instead,
Once
Republicans
you
are putting
realize
that
who's
money
lying to who,
towards no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. Fortunately, 77 million
the
Americans have
realization
already weighed in. We're going
is
to
realizing
deliver on
the
the
truth in
president's
you.
promises, and we're going to help working
Why
and
lie?
middle-class Americans. This is very personal for me. I grew up in a single-wide
Lie
trailer
when
in a
you
town
go on
of
the
less than
truth.
5,000 people. The average income
A winner.
in my hometown is just over $24,000. My priority is the working class. That is the priority of President Trump, and that is the priority of the Republican Party. And this bill delivers for them. My neighbors back home and hard-working families and communities just like in Salem, Missouri, and all across the United States. According to the Council of Economic Advisors, the no tax on tips policy alone will lead to an additional $1,700 in the pockets of each of the 4 million different tipped employees working in communities throughout this nation. Family take-home pay will increase up to $13,300 under the One Big Beautiful Bill. And the same study showed that tax relief for seniors, meanwhile, would increase the average take-home pay for qualifying seniors by approximately $450 per year. I'm proud to say we're taking the president's promise and going even farther by delivering even greater benefits for them. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Failure is not an option. We have to deliver for the American people. Please to turn over to Whitmember.
Thanks, Jason. This week, House Republicans face a historic moment that has the potential to revive the American dream and solidify the comeback that has already begun under President Donald J. Trump. From our nation's farmers to police officers working 60 hours a week, from America's top manufacturers to small businesses on Main Street, our One Big Beautiful Bill holds promise for every American. In fact, nearly 1,000 organizations have already expressed support for the policies within the bill. The Job Creators Network described our reconciliation bill as, quote, exactly what the country needs to jumpstart the economy and guarantee the safety and prosperity of Americans for decades to come, end quote. The National Association of Manufacturers said of this landmark legislation, quote, we need certainty now, and this is the moment to deliver one big, beautiful bill that lets us compete and win, end quote. Their warning could not be more true. The time to get this done is now. Not only does this legislation make the 2017 Trump tax cuts permanent and implement no tax on tips and overtime pay, it also unleashes American energy, cuts waste, fraud, and abuse, and allows President Trump to continue his successful deportation and border security operations. And that's only naming a handful of things this bill accomplishes. Our reconciliation bill delivers on President Trump's America First agenda, and it does so while saving the American people over $1.6 trillion. The One Big Beautiful Bill is truly a once-in-a-generation chance to get America back on track. House Republicans must seize this opportunity and quickly. As my good friend Jason Smith just said, failure is not an option. With that, I turn it over to our leader, Steve Scalise.
Thank you, Whip. Well, this morning, President Trump had a strong and clear message to a packed House Republican conference. And that is after months of long, intense discussions over really important differences and issues, this one big, beautiful bill has come through the committee process, and it's time to end the negotiations, unify behind this bill, and get it passed on to the Senate. And what President Trump really talked about was the things that we all talked about during the campaign.
Man, I don't want to hear about no fucking bill. I want to hear how we're going to get rid of all the liars that covered up Joe Biden.
Low and middle-income families would see a large, painful tax increase if this bill were not to happen. And look, we all know every Democrat's going to vote no. They've bragged about it. They are fighting tooth and nail to stop us from preventing a tax increase. Democrats also made it clear they want open borders. And they sure don't want the provisions of this bill, as Chairman Green and Chairman Jordan talked about, that will give our Border Patrol agents the tools they've been asking for years.
Why are y'all begging the Democrats, man? The Democrats should be investigated for what they did with Joe Biden. So therefore, they shouldn't be worrying about no fucking bill. They should be worrying about going to jail.
To deport criminals who came to America to harm our citizens. And President Trump is finally following through
following through on that promise to secure our border, but he needs more tools to do it. Something we also ran on was producing more energy in America. And this bill reverses the Biden-era policies that shut off American energy, making our country more dependent on hostile nations, giving Putin billions of dollars a month more to fund his war in Ukraine by shutting American energy off. This bill opens it back up again. It generates more money. It generates opportunity for families. It generates higher wages for hardworking taxpayers. It will generate real economic growth to lower inflation, to lower costs at the grocery store, to lower interest rates. All the things that 77 million voters gave us a mandate to go deliver. I know we got a few final issues to resolve, but as President Trump said today, it's time to stop the talking, and we need action. We need to deliver for those families who have been waiting way too long for the results that are in this one big beautiful bill. A lot of great policies to deliver for those families is just waiting. We're going to deliver this week. We're going to bring the bill. Failure, absolutely not an option. We've got to get this done. Men leading that charge here in the House.
They were playing my words
President
again.
Trump had some great words about is our speaker, Mike Johnson.
Thank you, leader. Thanks to all these great leaders standing behind me. I tell you what, we're in a really good.
We shouldn't have to beg the Democrats to do shit. Right now, you should be investigating the Democrats for covering up Joe Biden's stupidity and his sickness.
We're on the verge of making history here, and everybody feels it. In that room today was President Trump, who was filled with standing ovations and high energy and high excitement, because everybody senses what's happening here. It was a great esprit de corps, and we're blessed to serve under and with the president who understands the necessity of these relationships and is willing to roll his sleeves up and come stand in the trenches to be a part of this excitement of what's happening. From the outset of the budget reconciliation process, we have sought to enact President Trump's full agenda, not just parts of it. And that's why we call it the one big beautiful bill, because really everything is sandwiched into this. The American people were sick of wasteful spending and high inflation and open borders and weakness on the world stage. And you know what we're working towards right now? The opposite of all those things. President Trump has used his executive authority in historic ways to stop much of the bleeding. But Congress has a role and a responsibility to step in at this stage to stitch up and mend those wounds for good. And that's what this legislation is about. We cannot leave the American people waiting or wanting. The one big beautiful bill enshrines into law and funds President Trump's promises. There's a lot of it because we had to, because after the last 4 years, everything was an absolute disaster. So he's promised to cut wasteful spending and save taxpayers' money. Check. That's what we're doing. Make permanent historic tax cuts and prevent the largest tax hike in U.S. history. Check. That's what we're doing. Invest in our national defense and homeland security in a fiscally responsible manner. That too. Reestablish American energy dominance. And basically restore common sense to the government. That's what the American people elected him to do. This bill does all that and so much more. And as a reminder, we're right on schedule. Our House Budget Resolution gave instructions to 11 separate committees in the House to write their portions of the Budget Reconciliation Bill, and they did it right on target. Every instructed committee exceeded those targets, in fact, that they were given through our resolution. That means the committees that were told to spend have spent less, and the committees that were told to save actually found more savings than they were targeting. And the bill delivered more than $1
Axios obtained the audio of Robert Burns'
savings mandated by the budget resolution. That is historic. There's never been anything like it before. And we're proud to deliver it. This is a whole of Congress response to a whole of government problem.
Once again, we shouldn't have to be begging the Democrats to do shit.
Every House Republican
They fucked up.
The White House has been involved, as you saw most recently within the last hour. The Senate has been involved.
We should be demanding that some of the Democrats be fired because of the cover-up dealing with Joe Biden.
1,000 organizations have issued enthusiastic public endorsements about this legislation. I don't think there's ever been anything like that. No legislation has ever garnered that much support. It's really something. And we never promised it to be easy. We never thought this was going to be an effortless process, because when you're doing this,
but it should be easy after all the lies that's been perpetrated.
We respect that in the Republican Party. We're people of deep principle and settled.
The Democrats are going against the people's will.
That's part of it. We welcome it. Nothing in Congress is ever easy, especially when you have small margins. But we are going to land this plane and deliver this. And we're proud what what we've accomplished together. Every member of the conference can be proud of this legislation in the end. It's truly a nation-shaping piece of legislation. You heard some of the highlights here. Let me just give you a couple of things that haven't been mentioned yet or can't be mentioned enough. Some of the big conservative wins in the bill that are common sense wins for the American people. Putting Americans first. I love what Chairman Jordan said. This is really simple. We're delivering. We're doing what we said we were going to do. When you talk about putting Americans first, we're making the largest investment in border security in over a generation, providing nearly $150 billion to secure our border and deport illegal aliens. We are cracking down on illegal aliens receiving Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP, and tax benefits that are intended for the citizens of this country. We're shifting the cost of adjudication in the immigration system from the American taxpayer to the aliens themselves. And we're imposing a fee on remittance payments to foreign countries by illegal aliens. The second category, providing historic tax relief. We're going to eliminate taxes on tips and overtime. We'll provide tax relief for seniors on Social Security. We're going to eliminate taxes on auto loan interest that cars made in the U.S., lowering the cost of borrowing from America's farmers and providing tax relief for job creators. Another category, bringing back common sense. And that's the continuing theme here.
Thank you.
We're reviewing and rolling back over $500 billion in funding for the radical Green New Deal policies, providing so-called Inflation Reduction Act. We call it the Inflation Act. We're ending Biden's war on American energy. We're banning Medicaid dollars from going transgender surgeries for minors. We're canceling Biden's student loan repayment program. We're increasing university endowment tax for these big woke institutions. We're revoking tax-exempt status for nonprofits that materially support terrorism. We're doubling the jail time for leaks of confidential taxpayer information. We're eliminating big businesses' ability to engage in woke PR campaigns to facilitate refundability for green energy projects. We're incentivizing federal workforce to be at-will employees, and we're repealing Biden's disastrous EV mandate. The stakes couldn't be any higher. We could go on and on. It's over 1,000 pages that list all the wins, but we only have so much time. Despite the overwhelming popularity of so many of these provisions in this bill, the guys on the other side, the congressional Democrats, have refused to engage with us in this process at all. They're not going to vote for anything that I just listed for you. And make no mistake about it. This week they're going to vote for. They're going to vote for the largest increase in taxes in America. They're going to vote against border security.
That's why we're supposed to be fun. We're supposed to be putting them in jail. That's why we're supposed to be putting them in jail, so they don't have no choice.
President Trump's one big beautiful bill is going to require.
That's why they're supposed to be fired for lying.
Best chance. It's our best chance that we'll ever have in our lifetime, in any of us. In any
How can you vote?
Deliver on the mandate and down on so many Americans. 77 million Americans voted for President Trump.
How can you vote against the bill if you fired for lying, covering up for Joe Biden?
By passing this legislation, wages will increase as much as $11,600. Take-home pay for the typical American family with 2 kids will increase by.
My question is, are we going to hold somebody accountable for all the fucking lies dealing with Joe Biden? That's my question. I need an answer, please, please, please.
Every American citizen seen a 22% tax hike. 26 million businesses would see a tax increase of 43%. We'd lose nearly 6 million jobs in the economy.
I don't want to talk about this.
$1 trillion in GDP by some estimates.
I don't want to talk about this. I want to talk about who's going to jail, who's getting fired for all the fucking lies dealing with Joe Biden. I don't want to talk about this shit here. I want to talk about people being held accountable for all the fucking lies.
But I'm just end it here and tell you that failure is simply not an option. We have to get this done. I told President Trump on the campaign trail that I believed he could be the most consequential president of the modern era, and arguably maybe one of the most in all of U.S. history, maybe top 2 or 3. I think
you sound like you trying to beg the fucking liars to get on fucking board with some shit that makes sense. This is stupid. Are we really this fucking stupid?
Non-stop media criticism and a historically small House majority, we are right on track to deliver, and that's what you'll see this House do this week. Now, we're not going to take a lot of questions this morning because we've already done a ton with you in home. The President gave you a lot, we gave you a lot. What we're leaving to do right now is gather up the small subgroups in the House Republican Conference and tie up the remaining loose ends. I'm very confident that we'll be able to do that. There's a great esprit de corps in the room this morning because everybody knows what's at stake. All the things we've talked about here this morning, we are going to get this done. So this is a rare thing. I'm going to say hold the questions and let me go get back to work so we can finish this thing up.
We're just going to find ways to take questions and defend now.
Man, shit.